What's up everyone, we're going to be going through the best NBA player props on PrizePicks today. Now don't forget to like this video as it does let me know to continue to give you free picks every day, so make sure to like this video clicking that button down below, and if we get 500 likes I will do another video for tomorrow. Now I did want to show you the results from yesterday's picks from my exclusive Discord group, and as you guys see we actually got 19 picks correct, which was absolutely insane. So we're on a huge hot streak, but if you want to get 19 picks right like me, win more bets and receive the best picks from some of the best bettors in the world for less than a cup of coffee, you can access the exclusive Discord and meet some of the best sport bettors in the game by joining my Patreon, which will be linked down below in the description. Once you join, you'll have complete access to the Discord and can start winning more bets today. So make sure to join my Patreon using the link in the description. And here's one of our members who just signed up and won himself $3,050 just yesterday. Another member who won $420 for the 5th day in a row since joining my Discord. So guys, if you want to win big money like our members, the link will be in the description, so go join the Patreon to have access to the Discord group, and I will be continuing to upload every single day on this channel the best bets and props, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my daily uploads. So quick shout out to VilXX803 said I was here first, and also shouts out to Red Sox Forever who said go Pats. So shouts out to them, and if you do want to win a shout out in the next video, all you have to do is comment down below on this one and like it, and you can be in the running to win a shout out in the next one. Alright, so let's get straight into the first pick, and when it comes to these picks, I'm not saying to chuck all of them into a parlay and hope for the best. Pick and choose the ones that you like and the ones that work best for you. So the first pick we're going to be talking about is none other than Andrew Wiggins, and this one is for points and rebounds for 22.5, and this one actually is for less. Now looking at actually Andrew Wiggins, we have seen him go on the under in 4 out of the last 5 games. Now looking at those 5 games, you see on January 29th faced off against Orlando Magic and actually had 21 points and rebounds there. January 30th faced off against Chicago Bulls, had 13 points and rebounds in that matchup, had 18 points and rebounds against Chicago Bulls again on February 1st. Then February 2nd faced off against Chicago again, had 17 points and rebounds, then 32 points and rebounds against Boston Celtics on February 7th. So really interesting to see. Obviously looking at someone like Andrew Wiggins, we definitely have seen him, go on the under quite consistently, but what we also do know is that his average over the last 5 is 20.2. so very interesting to see there. Obviously that is on the underside as well, and we do know that Miami Heat have themselves a really good matchup against none other than the Washington Wizards. Now it is definitely going to be an exciting matchup there between both of these teams. Now looking at where both of these teams do actually lie, starting off with Miami. Now Miami Heat have actually done a pretty decent job so far this season, but what we do see is that Miami Heat do come in at the 8th spot in the Eastern Conference. Now this is pretty interesting to see here because what we also do know is that they have 27 wins and 26 losses. That's a 50.9% win percentage there, 16-10 from home, 11-16 from away, and are currently on a 2-game losing streak. So really interesting to see there. Now obviously looking at their matchup, which is Washington Wizards, unfortunately Wizards aren't really in the greatest spot because Wizards do come in at the 14th spot in the Eastern Conference. Now they have a record of 14 wins and 37 losses. That's a 27.5% win percentage there, 9-17 from home, 5-20 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak. So really interesting to see. Obviously looking at both of those teams, Miami do rank a little bit better, but looking at Wizards and where they do rank, we do see them ranked 29th when it comes to points allowed, actually allowing 122 points per game, or 122.7 to be specific. And on top of that, when we look at rebounds allowed, we also find Wizards ranking 30th, allowing 47.5 rebounds per game. So they do allow quite a lot of rebounds, they allow a lot of points. So why do we like the under for this situation? And due to the reason being is that when we actually look at Andrew Wiggins, we have seen him struggle just a little bit when it comes to being able to reach this line. I do believe it is because Andrew Wiggins has definitely seen a little bit of a different sort of role in this team and a different sort of usage rate, and it definitely has played a massive effect on someone like Andrew Wiggins and this line here. Now, as we mentioned before, he did go on the over in that most recent game against Boston, but that was the only game. We see that these other matchups he really did struggle at, and the fact that he did do very well at that Boston matchup, we do believe it's now brought this line a little bit too high, that now there's a lot more value actually to go on the under. So that's what definitely stands out to us there. When we also look at Washington, we see they do a great job at restricting points and rebounds to Andrew Wiggins' position, so we definitely do very much like that. So for that reason, we are definitely liking the under for this one. Now, when we look at Andrew Wiggins against Wizards in the past, we actually saw Wiggins face off against them in Golden State Warriors. So it is a very, very different sort of scenario. So definitely take this with a grain of salt. But when they did play each other the first time, he actually had 5 points, 4 rebounds. And then the other matchup had 31 points and 11 rebounds there. But as I mentioned before, take it with a grain of salt. Obviously, when it comes to Andrew Wiggins, that was when he was with the Golden State Warriors. But looking at what they do say when it comes to the pros, now obviously we have him for 22.5 for points and rebounds. However, they actually have him for 21.5. So it is a different line, so we can't really go off what the bookies are saying there. But what we can also see is that when we look at the projection, that they do have for him is 21.2. So really, really interesting to see there. Obviously, looking at that, they have him for 21.2, which is for the under. So we are actually agreeing with the projection here, which I think is fantastic to see there. When we also look at the last 15 games, we also do see that he's going on the under more than he's going on the over. And he's actually going on the under in 40% of those matchups. So coming into this next one, we do very, very much like the under for this situation here for someone like Andrew Wiggins. So Andrew Wiggins, 22.5 points, rebounds for 22.5 for less, I think is a fantastic pick. All right, so getting into the next one, we're going to be talking about Josh Hart. So Josh Hart, great player, and this one is for points and rebounds. So points and rebounds combined for 18.5, and this one actually is for more. Now, looking at Josh Hart, we actually have seen him go on the over in 3 out of the last 5 games. Now, looking at those 5 games, you see on January 29th, faced off against the Toronto Raptors, had 27 points and rebounds there. January 31st, faced off against Portland again, had 26 points and rebounds. February 2nd, faced off against the LA Lakers and had 24 points and rebounds. February 4th, faced off against Washington Wizards, had 11 points and rebounds. And February 7th, faced off against Detroit Pistons and had 11 points and rebounds there. So we definitely do see when it comes to Josh Hart that when we look at his average over the last 5, it is also 19.8. So it is on the over side as well. But looking at this matchup, we do also see that Josh Hart and the New York Knicks have themselves a really, really good matchup against the Boston Celtics. Now, it is definitely going to be an exciting matchup there, but looking at where both of these teams do lie, starting off with New York Knicks. Now, when we look at New York Knicks, they actually rank 3rd in the Eastern Conference, and they have a record of 33 wins and 19 losses. That's a 63.5% win percentage there. And on top of that, they are 21-6 from home, 11-13 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak. So really, really interesting to see there. Now, looking at their matchup, which is none other than actually Boston Celtics. Boston do come in at the 2nd spot in the Eastern Conference. Now, they have a record of 34 wins and 18 losses. That's a 65.4% win percentage, 17-8 from home, 17-10 from away, and are currently on a 5-game win streak. So really, really interesting to see there. Now, looking at Josh Hart and the New York Knicks, we do know that they face off against a Boston Celtics team that not only do rank very well, but we also see that they rank 2nd when it comes to points allowed, actually only allowing 108.4 points per game, and then rebounds allowed, we see that the Celtics do also rank really good as a ranked 7th, allowing 42.3 rebounds per game. So why do we like the over for this situation? And a big reason being is that when we look on a per position basis, we do see a very, very different story. Now, looking at that, we do also know when it comes to actually, New York Knicks, we also have seen Josh Hart play a big role for this team. Yes, he did struggle against Washington, and yes, he did struggle against Detroit, but we definitely have seen a lot of minutes from Josh Hart, and on top of that, just have definitely seen him play, a big role for this team. And that's why coming into this game against Boston, we should actually see him go on the over here. Now, when we actually look at their last matchups against each other, they actually have faced off against each other this year, which I think is great. But we do see Josh Hart, they faced off against each other on the 24th of October and actually had 2 points, 14 rebounds, and 3 assists there. After that, they faced off against each other on the 2nd and had 19 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists in that matchup. So that was pretty interesting to see there. So overall, looking at that, we definitely have seen, Josh Hart do a decent job. But when we look at that compared to the line that he does have at 18.5, we did see him go on the over in that most recent matchup, but their first matchup against each other, he wasn't able to make it on the over, but he did also play 19 minutes in that matchup. So very, very different game. I'm not too sure what happened in that matchup, but we definitely saw a decrease in his minutes. So coming back into this next one, we should definitely see him go on the over for here. Now, when we actually look at Josh Hart and what the pros do actually have to say for it. Now, looking at the points and rebounds line, they have him for 19.5 here. So a little bit of a different line in that sense. They have him for 19.5, but they also have him favored for the under. But we can't really go off what the bookies are saying there because it is a different line to us. But looking at the projection that they do have for him, however, is 20. So actually, I'm projected for 20, which I think is great to see because, since I am projected for 20, it actually does seem to us that they haven't projected for the over, so it does match our projection as well. Now, looking at the last 15 games, when we adjust it for our line as well, we've seen him go on the over in 60% of these matchups as well. So it's definitely been very, very good for Josh Hart over the last 15 games, and we should definitely see that hot streak continue on into this next matchup, no doubt about it. So for that reason, definitely keep an eye out for Josh Hart coming into this game. The Josh Hart for 18.5 points and rebounds for more, I think is a fantastic pick. All right, so getting into the next one, we're going to be talking about Derrick White. Now, unfortunately, this is another points and rebounds. Apologies, but these are just some of the best picks. I just want to show you the best ones out there. But this is points and rebounds for 22.5, and this one is for less. So, looking at Derrick White, we actually have seen him go on the under in 2 out of the last 5 games. Looking at those 5 games, you see on January 31st, faced off against Sacramento, had 9 points and rebounds there. February 2nd, faced off against Milwaukee Bucks, had 24 points and rebounds. February 4th, faced off against Dallas Mavericks, had 13 points and rebounds. February 5th, faced off against Houston Rockets, had 29 points and rebounds, then 24 points and rebounds against Miami Heat on February 7th. So very, very interesting to see. Obviously, looking at Derrick White, we definitely have seen him go on the under, in 2 out of those last 5, but his average over the last 5 is also 19.8. Now, coming into this matchup, we do also know that Derrick White and the Boston Celtics do face off against the New York Knicks. Now, it is definitely going to be an exciting game between both of these teams. Now, looking at where both of these teams do actually lie, well, we do also know, looking at, Boston, starting off with them. Now, I know we have touched on this before, but just to quickly remind you all, they do rank 2nd in the Eastern Conference when it comes to the Celtics. They've done a fantastic job, had 34 wins and 18 losses. That's a 65.4% win percentage. And on top of that, they are 17-8 from home, 17-10 from away, and are currently on a 5-game win streak. So really, really interesting to see there. Now, looking at, Boston Celtics, they face off against the New York Knicks, and New York Knicks do come in at the 3rd spot in the Eastern Conference. They have a record of 33 wins and 19 losses. That's a 63.5% win percentage there. Are also 21-6 from home, 11-13 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak. So really, really interesting to see there. Obviously, looking at someone like Derrick White, we have definitely seen him do a great job, at times, and other times has definitely struggled. But they face off against a Knicks team that do rank, when it comes to points allowed, they rank 7th, allowing 112.3 points per game. And then rebounds allowed, we also find the Knicks rank 5th, allowing 41.6 rebounds per game as well. Now, the reason why this is important to us is because looking at actually, Boston Celtics and the New York Knicks matchup, Knicks also do a fantastic job at restricting points and rebounds to the guard position, which is what Derrick White is. And that's a big, big reason why we do very much like the under for this situation here. For someone like Derrick White, yes, he is a great player, but I wouldn't say he has the highest usage rate in either of these departments. He tends to take more of a more supporting type role. And even though Jason Tatum is still out for this Boston team, there has been other Boston players that have definitely stepped up. So coming into this one, we are definitely liking the under for it. We also do believe, especially with New York Knicks being a slow-paced team, we are expecting them to slow down the pace of Boston. And because of that, Derrick White may not be used to it when it comes to the pace that they are usually used to. And because of that, it definitely can lead to less volume, so less opportunity to score and to also rebound. Now, looking at the last time that they did face off against each other, they actually have faced off against each other twice so far this season. The first being on October 24th, actually had 15 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists. And then on the 2nd of December of last year, actually had 22 points, 2 rebounds, and 5 assists in that matchup. So, he also did a pretty decent job there as well. Now, looking at both of those, obviously in that first game, he did actually struggle and did go on the under on that line. And then the second game, he did slightly go on the over, but nothing really too convincing there. So coming into this next one, we are expecting him to go on the under. And looking at what the pros do have to say about it as well, they have him for 21.5. So they have him for a different line, so it is kind of difficult to go and compare with what the bookies are saying there. Now, looking at the projection, we do see that the projection is 22.2 points and rebounds. Now, they have him here for over, but technically for us, that is actually the under because we have him for 22.5. So although it says over here, for us and for our line, it is technically on the under, so we are agreeing with the projection in this case. And when we look at the last 15 games, we've also seen him go on the under quite a lot, going on the under and roughly around 74% of these matchups. So he's gone on the under quite a lot, only gone on the over in 4 games so far in the last 15. So that is a very, very small number. So for that reason, we are definitely liking the under for this for someone like Derrick White. And we definitely see him going on the under for here for sure. So Derrick White, 22.5 points and rebounds for less, I think is a fantastic pick. So getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about TJ McConnell. And this one is for points, rebounds, and assists for 14.5. And this one actually is for more. Now looking at TJ, we actually have seen him go on the over in 3 out of the last 5 games. So looking at those games, we did see on January 27th, faced off against Atlanta Hawks, had 20 points, rebounds, and assists there. January 29th, faced off against Chicago, had 18 points and rebounds and assists. February 1, faced off against Atlanta Hawks, had 13 points, rebounds, and assists. 7 points, rebounds, and assists against Houston Rockets on February 7th. Then February 7th, faced off against Milwaukee Bucks and had 16 points, rebounds, and assists there. So really, really interesting to see. Obviously, looking at someone like TJ McConnell, we have definitely seen him go on the over in 3 out of those last 5. But his average over the last 5 is also 14.8. So on the over as well. Now looking at TJ McConnell and Indiana Pacers, they do have themselves a really good matchup against none other than the Toronto Raptors. Now it is definitely going to be an exciting game between both of these teams. Looking at where both of these teams do lie, starting off with Indiana. Indiana have definitely struggled just a little bit this season, especially coming from an NBA Finals appearance, but they currently rank 15th in the Eastern Conference. Now they have a record of 13 wins and 39 losses. That's a 25% win percentage there. They're also 10-18 from home, 3-21 from away, and are currently on a 3-game losing streak. So really, really interesting to see from them there. Now looking at their matchup, which is Toronto Raptors, we do see Toronto coming in at the 5th spot in the Eastern Conference. They have a record of 31 wins and 22 losses. That's a 58.5% win percentage there. 15-12 from home, 16-10 from away, and are currently on a 1-game win streak. So really, really interesting to see from them there. Now looking at, where Toronto Raptors, however, do rank defensively. Starting off with points allowed, we see that Toronto Raptors have surprised a lot of people this season. And not only that when it comes to their ranking, but they are a great defensive team because they actually rank 8th when it comes to points allowed, allowing 112.4 points per game. When we look at assists allowed, we see that they rank 3rd, actually allowing 24.6 assists per game. And then rebounds allowed, we also find Toronto Raptors rank pretty decent as they rank 14th, allowing 43.5 rebounds per game. So they rank very, very well when it comes to points, when it comes to rebounds, and also when it comes to assists. So why do we like the over for this situation here? And it definitely does come down to when we look on a per position basis, we do see, unfortunately, a little bit of a different story because Toronto do struggle at restricting points, rebounds, and assists to the guard position. And we definitely are expecting someone like TJ McConnell to be able to take advantage of this. And he has definitely done it as of recent as well. And we definitely have seen TJ McConnell have a little bit more of a higher usage rate out there on the floor. Now, when we look at both of these teams, both are also very fast paced, and we are expecting Toronto to really pick up the pace for this team as well. And because of that, faster pace leads to more volume and more opportunity to score, rebound, and also play make. Now, I wouldn't say this is definitely a deal breaker, but another big reason is that Indiana Pacers do have a couple of injuries. Ethan Thompson's out, Aaron Nesmith, Micah Potter, Ivica Zubac, Kobe Brown. So Pacers are going to have definitely relying on TJ McConnell to definitely give it his all coming into this matchup. So we definitely could see him continue to have a very high usage rate. Whether they do end up playing, as some of them are game time decision, we don't really see that changing that much. So for that reason, we are definitely still liking the over for it. Now, when we look at TJ McConnell against Toronto over the last couple of games, we have seen some interesting ones. We did see them face off against each other on November 15th. In that matchup, he only had 16 minutes, and he had 9 points, 1 rebound, and also 4 assists in that matchup. So he did actually just miss his line by 0.5. Then TJ McConnell on November, so same month on the 26th, actually had 24 minutes and had 16 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists there. So he absolutely crushed that line, and you definitely saw when he started to get above 20 minutes, his usage rate definitely increased. And then their most recent matchup, which was just last month on the 14th, had 21 minutes and had 8 points, 2 rebounds, and 6 assists there. So TJ McConnell has definitely seen an increase in his usage rate. I do believe that Pacers are starting to look at him and rely on him to get some scoring done, playmaking, and also rebounding. And TJ McConnell, being a hustler that he is, he's definitely out there getting stats on the board. So he's definitely done a great job, as I mentioned, going on the over in 2 out of the 3 games that they've already faced off against each other. So that does definitely give us a lot of confidence there. Now, when we look at the pros, they do actually have him for 15.5, so they have him for a different line there, which does change things just slightly. But what we do see is that the projection that they do have is 14.9. Now, when you look at 14.9, although it does say under here, when you compare it to our line, where we actually have him for 14.5, this is technically the over. So we are actually agreeing with the projection here, which I think is great to see there. When we look at the last 15 games, we've also seen him go on the over in more than 50% of these matchups. He's actually gone on the over in 53%. So it really does work out in our favor there. And looking at all of these things, all signs really do point towards the over for this. The pace is going to be there. And when it comes to, the defense compared to TJ McConnell's position, Toronto definitely do struggle. And with the projection agreeing with us and the last 15 games agreeing with us, it definitely does give us a lot of confidence coming into this game for sure. So for that reason, TJ McConnell, 14.5 points, rebounds, and assists for more, I think is a fantastic pick.